Hello everyone, this is part 2 video on past year NEET questions from the topic P block. So in this video we are looking at questions from the 13th and 14th group elements. We have a separate set of videos for the remainder of the P block. Now those who are looking at this video can probably take a look at the part 1 also, so that you will have the continuity. We will start with a question that has come in NEET 2013 paper. The basic structural units of silicates is, so silicates will have the SiO4 4 minus, that's the basic unit of orthosilicate, and we will see that it will be arranged in a tetrahedral manner. So tetrahedral arrangement is what we will see in terms of the structure of the silicates. Of course we have a variety of silicates, chain silicates, and cyclosilicates, etc. But the basic unit will be what? SiO4 4 minus. So you can see in the visualization it will be what? Having a tetrahedral arrangement. Okay, so SiO4 4 minus units will be having the tetrahedral arrangement. Next we have a question that has come in NEET paper Karnataka 2013. Which statement is wrong? So we have to find out which of the statements is wrong or incorrect. So for these kind of questions, obviously we have to read through all the statements. Option A is what? Beryl is an example of cyclic silicate. If you look at beryl, right, it's a mineral mainly consisting of the beryllium aluminum cyclosilicate. So the composition of beryl is Be3Al2Si6O18. So which means this is correct, it's a cyclic silicate. Second is Mg2SiO4 is orthosilicate. If you look at Mg2SiO4, what is the unit you have? Anion part is SiO4 4 minus. This is the orthosilicate. So this is also correct. We are looking for the wrong. Option C is saying what? The basic structural unit in silicates is the SiO4 tetrahedron. This is also correct. In the previous visualization also we have seen. Here also we can see what is it. It's the SiO4 tetrahedral units. Okay. Option D is saying that feldspars are not aluminosilicates. Actually feldspars, right, which are a form of silicate minerals. So with a composition of potassium aluminum silicate, sodium aluminum silicate, and calcium aluminum silicate. So they will be actually aluminosilicates. So the feldspar mineral ores, right, they will all be what? Aluminosilicates. So option D is saying that feldspars are not aluminosilicates. So this is the one that is incorrect, and we are looking for which is the incorrect statement. So the incorrect one will be option D. Next we have another question that has come in 2011, again on silicates. Name the two type of the structure of silicate in which one oxygen atom of SiO4 4 minus is shared. So if you look at the normal silicates, right, the linear or the sheet or three-dimensional, we have SiO4 repeating units. But here the question is one oxygen atom of SiO4 4 minus is shared between the two entities. So if you look at the pyrosilicate, right, pyrosilicate will have one oxygen atom being shared. So correct answer is for this pyrosilicates. The pyrosilicates will have one oxygen atom shared between two SiO4 units. Next we have a question that has come in 2011. Which of the following statements is incorrect? So we have to look at these options and tell which of them is incorrect. Pure sodium metal dissolves in liquid ammonia to give blue color. Yes, it is because of the, this is not in fact a P block question, it is a S block question. So the ammoniated electrons is the reason for this blue color. So this is correct, and we are looking for the incorrect or the wrong one. Okay. Then option B is what? NaOH reacts with glass to give sodium silicate. So generally glass will be having silicon dioxide, and when the silicon dioxide, it is acidic in nature. It's acidic in nature and it will react with the base. Sodium hydroxide is a strong base. Okay, so when we treat glass with sodium hydroxide, we will be able to see the formation of sodium silicate. So sodium silicate will be formed, and this is also correct. So NaOH reacts with glass to give sodium silicate. Option C is saying what? Aluminium reacts with excess NaOH to give AlOH thrice. So here we have to look at the reaction. So aluminium react with excess NaOH, right? It will be giving us hydrated sodium aluminate. So the hydrated sodium aluminate is the product. It is not aluminium hydroxide. So the one that is wrong is option C. And we can see option D, right? Sodium hydrogen carbonate on heating gives Na2CO3. Sodium hydrogen carbonate on heating, it will give us Na2CO3, and the carbon dioxide gas will be evolved. So the one that is incorrect is option C. Next we have a question that has come in the mains paper 2011. Which of the following oxide is amphoteric? So if you look at tin oxide, right, it will react with both acids. It will react with HCl to give tin chloride. It will react with NaOH to give sodium stannate. Na2SNO3 is what? Sodium stannate. So it will have amphoteric nature, just like our zinc oxide and aluminum oxide. Tin also will have amphoteric nature. Whereas calcium oxide is basic. It will dissolve in water to produce the base calcium hydroxide. SiO2 and CO2 are acidic in nature. So the one that is having amphoteric is tin oxide. Option A is the correct answer. Next we have a question that has come in the year 2010. Which one of the following molecular hydrides act as a Lewis acid? See, Lewis acid means entity must have atoms which can accept lone pair of electrons. So that is the Lewis acid nature. Correct. Now if you look at ammonia, in ammonia the nitrogen itself is having lone pair of electrons. In fact, the lone pair of electrons of nitrogen can be donated. So this ammonia will in fact act as a Lewis base. Similarly, the H2O also can act as a Lewis base, because oxygen will have two lone pairs, and CH4 can neither act as a Lewis acid nor act as a Lewis base. Why? Because the carbon is properly octet full and it does not have any lone pairs. Whereas if you look at B2H6, what we'll see in B2H6 is there will be this 3-centered 2-electron bond. So normally boron will have number of valence electrons 3. Okay, and the 3 electrons can be used. A BH3 unit means what? Boron can be bonded to 3 hydrogens. So we will see in BH3, the boron, after forming the bond also, effectively the number of electrons is 6. So it's an electron deficit molecule. So BH3 is what? Electron deficit molecule. It forms a dimer, B2H6 diborane, with a banana bond or a 3-centered 2-electron bond. But still, this is a molecule which is electron deficit. So the B2H6 is the one which will be able to act as a Lewis acid, because it can accept lone pair of electrons. Next we have a question that has come in 2010. The tendency of BF3, BCl3, BBr3 to behave as Lewis acids decreases in the sequence. Means we have to find out in which sequence the Lewis acid behavior will actually decrease. See, if you look at the difference between a BH3, of course, so if you want to look at the structure, means it will be trigonal planar structure, BH3 and any boron halide. The difference comes with the fact that in BH3 the boron is completely electron deficit. The boron is completely electron deficit. But what happens in boron halides is, now also the boron is having 6 effective number of electrons, but these halogens will be having lone pair of electrons. So what can happen is they can form a coordinate bond. So it will be from the peripheral halogen atom to the central boron atom. That's why this bond is also called as back bonding. It's nothing but a coordinate chemical bond from the halogen to the boron. So the lone pair of halogen atom will be forming an bonding with empty orbital of the boron. So this back bonding will in a way reduce because of the back bonding formation, right, it will reduce the Lewis acid nature, because since the back bonding is happening, the boron will no longer be required to form an extra bond. So more the back bonding, the Lewis acid nature will decrease by that much. So here if you look at the halogens, right, fluorine, chlorine and then bromine. Fluorine, because of its small size, it will have a high electron density. So the fluorine will be able to, and the back bonding also will have resonance structures, because we can have structure like this, alternative structure, where different of these fluorine atoms can be given to have the back bonding. So we'll have a resonance happening here also, but yeah. So if you look at fluorine, because of its small size, right, it will have high electron density, so it will be able to form a stronger back bonding. Not only that, the valence shell of fluorine is the second shell, and valence shell of boron is also second shell. So these orbitals, right, they'll have similar energy and overlapping will be efficient. If you go to chlorine or a bromine, so chlorine will go to the valence shell is third, bromine the valence shell is what, fourth. So the overlapping will not be that much effective. So what we see is that the back bonding strength will be what, it will be more in the case of BF3 than BCl3 than BBr3. Means when the back bonding strength is more, Lewis acid nature will decrease. So the relative order in terms of the Lewis acid will be what, BBr3 will be a stronger Lewis acid than BCl3 than BF3. Why? Because in case of BF3, the back bonding is happening to a greater extent. Two reasons are there. One, it is the electron density on the halogen atom. When the electron density on the halogen atom is more, then in that case the back bonding will be more, because the particular halogen atom can donate. The second thing is in terms of the overlapping orbitals. Fluorine, it is the second shell, valence shell orbitals that will overlap with the second shell orbitals of the boron. Whereas if you go to the chlorine or a bromine, then the overlapping has to happen with the third shell orbitals or fourth shell orbitals. So effective overlap will be better in the case of the fluorine. So the back bonding will be more prominent in BF3, and hence the Lewis acid nature will be the least in that case. Okay, so the correct answer is option B. Next we have a question that has come in 2009. The straight chain polymer is formed by. So if you look at the idea is the formation of the silicones. Okay, so silicones will have what kind of a structure? They will be having the R2SiO repeating unit structure. So here we're talking about the straight chain polymer. So the hydrolysis of R2SiCl2. Okay, so like in the case we have dimethyl dichlorosilane. So dimethyl dichlorosilane, when it is undergoing hydrolysis, it will give dimethyl selenol. So both the chlorines are replaced by OH, and this on the condensation polymerization, where it will lose water molecule. So we can see the hydrogen of one unit of dimethyl selenol and OH of another unit of dimethyl selenol will get removed as water, and thereby we will form a straight chain polymer. So if you look at the repeating units will be what, R2SiO repeating units. So this happens in the case where we have two chlorines. There must be two chlorines, that is when we will get the straight chain polymer. But if you have only one chlorine, like in the case of option D case, what is going to happen is we will just form a dimer. So polymer will not occur, well, there will be only dimer. Why? Because from one side you will get one molecule OH, another side you will get OH another molecule. These two, if you remove water, means we will just get dimer, that's it. And if you don't have any chlorines, means nothing is going to happen. Okay, and if we have the three chlorines, then we will end up getting cyclic polymers. So the one that will give us a straight chain polymer is option C, which is R2SiCl2 kind of an structure. First step will be the hydrolysis, and second step will be the condensation polymerization, where we will be making the molecules to lose water. Next we have a question that has come in 2007. which of the following oxidation states are the most characteristics of lead and tin respectively. So we are talking about the 14th group, correct? So in 14th group, so what are the elements of the 14th group? Carbon, silicon, germanium, then comes tin, then comes lead. As we go down the group, the +2 stability will increase. This is because of the inert pair effect. This is because of the inert pair effect, okay. But what we see is the +2 will be more stable than +4 only in the case of lead. So which means for lead, right, what is the characteristic oxidation state going to be? So they are giving the order, first lead should come, then tin. So lead will be what? +2, means we have only either option A or option C. But tin case, still +4 only is the stable one. So the +2 will be more stable than +4 only in the case of the last element of the 14th group, which is lead. So what will be the correct answer? For lead, the most stable state will be +2, and for tin, it will still be +4. And the other elements, right, whether it is a carbon or silicon or germanium, for them also what will be the stable state? It will be +4 state. So what is the correct answer for this? Option A will be the correct answer. Next we have another question in 2007. Which of the following anions is present in the chain structure of silicates? So the chain structure of silicates, which of these following anions will be present? So we are looking at the composite formula for the anion. So if you look at the chain silicates, right, where the formation of the chain silicates will happen by sharing of 2 oxygen atoms by each tetrahedra. The anions will have typical formula SiO3 n times 2n minus charge, or Si4O11 n times 6n minus charge. So if you look at how these structures will actually get depicted, right, this is how we will have the structure of the chain silicates. So we can see the tetrahedral unit. These are all the tetrahedral units. Okay. So this is the first one, which is Si O3n2n minus, and this is the Si4O11n6n minus. So these are the the general formula that we can depict for the anion. So if you look at the given options, right, which of them they have given? They have given only this one. They have given only the SiO3. See, instead of writing the 2n minus outside, we can also express it as what? We can also express it as SiO3 2 minus inside. Means that n will get repeated for the 2 minus charge. So that's why the overall charge will be what? 2n minus. So we can also write this formula 1 as what? Option B, SiO3 2 minus whole n. Okay, so the correct answer for this is what? Option B. So we've been seeing that there are a lot of questions that are asked on the silicates and silicones with regard to the structures, with regard to the formula, with regard to the linkages. So mostly all these questions are straightforward questions or memory based questions. So while we are preparing for the pre-block, definitely we have to give more focus on these silicones and silicates concepts. So this is about the part 2 video, and we'll see in the part 3.